The market is coming back after some relief with Jerome not getting fired and a little bit of tariff news that kind of came out good. But this week, we are kind of awaiting some more news for the tariffs. We did get some decent news that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But for the weekly, we're pretty green. And yesterday, we were red at first, and then we kind of came back a little bit, but kind of back to neutral. Let's go back to the SPY and look at it because we're back up to the highs, but then we did drop a little bit down to that 550. I do recommend looking at that 550 level when the market does open because you never know. We might bounce below it and or might hold above it and maybe rally up a little bit more. But for the earnings, which we're going to be looking at next, is 40% of the SPY is actually reporting earnings this week. So expect SPY to move a lot. And with some big stocks like Apple, I think Apple's like 6% part of the SPY that moves the SPY. We got Microsoft, Meta, two other big stocks, Amazon. But this is the earnings calendar for today. After close, we are going to be talking about some numbers with PayPal, UPS, and some other stocks. Coca-Cola did pretty decent, but after close, look at Visa, Starbucks, and some other stocks. And tomorrow, Wednesday, before open, we got some other ones that aren't really too big, but maybe bigger to you if you have it. But let's look at the calendar first. So for today, we have ADP employment, GDP, employment cost index, Chicago business PMI, consumer spending, personal income, and that's all before market opens. And 30 minutes after market open, we have the PCE index year over year and core PCE index and year over year and pending home sales. So expect the market maybe to move off these numbers 30 minutes after market opens. And then we got some news an hour before market opens. The business PMI also is 15 minutes after market open. That might move the market, maybe not. We might get a little bit of tariff softening of the tariffs on automobiles. So keep automobiles on your radar. I don't think Tesla's really gonna move that much because 100% of the Tesla cars sold in the U.S. is made in the U.S., which is dope. So speaking of Coca-Cola, it pops on earnings, surprise, and the company calls Trump tariffs manageable. So basically saying that they can manage the tariffs and everything like that. UPS, they're going to cut 20,000 jobs, which is kind of worrying, but they beat their estimates. So UPS beat, but we are kind of down with that. Pfizer disappoints in first quarter earnings, faces a lot of headwinds. So look at Pfizer to the downside for today. Spotify falls 8% on disappointing Q2 users guidance, which kind of surprised me personally. But you can see Spotify maybe making some gaps upwards. We'll be looking at that a little bit later. PayPal beats profit targets and maintains annual earnings forecast with the trade uncertainty. So PayPal is looking pretty decent. And Apple investors seek clarity on tariffs, AI strategy as iPhone sales decline. So iPhone sales do decline. So keep the earnings on your radar because we might get some clarity on tariffs when they do their little speech. Let's look at some stocks. So first off, I want to start off with Spotify just to look at it a little bit more because we did fall. We are kind of coming back up, but look at the 561.7 level first, and then we might maybe fill up half of the gaps and or fall back down. So keep Spotify maybe to the upside first, and then maybe even fall down, make some new lows if you guys are looking at Spotify. Other stocks, so the SPY, some levels to look at on the SPY. We got 551.2, 552, and then the highs from pre-market 552.8, and the highs from yesterday 553.5. And then if we can break above that, look at 554 and that 555 and that 556 level to the downside. Look at some gaps from yesterday. So first one we'll be looking at is at 550. If we can break below that 550, look at 549.5, and then down a little bit more 548.5, 547.5, and then the lows of yesterday, which was 545. If we break below that, look at 544.5 and then 544. For Apple, since we're getting kind of a little bit of uncertainty with the stock, it might just be up and down until earnings, and then you'll just see a spike up or spike down. With that being said, look at to the downside first 209.6, 208, and then all the way down. So that 208 level, and then that 207.5, 206.5, and then that 205 level to the upside. Look at that 210. If we can stay above that 210, maintain it. Look at 211, 211.5, the highs, 212.5, and then 212.8, and then 213, and then 215. NVIDIA, I would look at NVIDIA to the downside with the bad news that we got with the basically competition in China. We see what happened last time. So look at 107.5, 105, and then all the way down to that 100 level. If we break below that, look at 95 and then that $90 level. But you might be able to scope out some long-term calls, maybe, potentially. But honestly, I'm waiting for news. Back up to the upside, I'm looking at 109. 110 is going to be key, 111.5, and then that 111, or sorry, that 112, my apologies, and then 114.5, 117.8, and then that 120 level. Next, we're going to be talking about Palantir because Palantir is kind of rallying back up. We hit 115.3 pre-market, but watch that 115.3 level for today. If we do spike up, we might see what we've seen the past couple of days where kind of rallies down, rallies up, rallies down, rallies up. We kind of almost hit it until we got some bad news or the market just started selling off, but it basically sells off a bunch and it starts rallying, and it might have kept going if the market didn't sell off yesterday. But if we kind of look at how it's been moving, we kind of sell off, buy back, and then make a high, sell off again, and then make another high. And we kind of been seeing that a little bit in the past. So kind of if you follow Palantir a little bit, you can kind of see those movements and probably spike in or get a little call option at the lows of the day. But be very, very cautious because we are at a high level. But I am very, very pumped to see because we might be able to break some all-time highs all the way up to that 526 level. So keep Palantir on your mind and on your radar. With that being said, thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.